I want to talk about game length and replayability. I usually spend a lot of my time working. The reason I started this YouTube channel in the first place was to give me an excuse to play through games in my free time, disguising it as being productive by creating content or learning a new skill in video editing. For many people, games are a fun pastime, but one which increasingly seems to demand more time from the player. I recently saw Yahtzee's extra punctuation video titled "Stop Bragging About Your Game's Length," in which he decries the tendency of some games to boast about their size and time required to complete all the content, saying that it's not a classy boast. And yes, he's correct. However, he only touched on the notion that people look at databases such as howlongtobeat.com to see how long a game is and whether or not they can fit it into their schedule. As you may be aware, I have been playing Elden Ring for the past couple of months now. I'm nearing the end game, but I still don't know how much longer I have left before I reach the ending, which will inevitably be one of several potential endings in the game. And the fact that there are multiple endings in a game that's this long got me thinking. I hear people say, well, there's always New Game Plus, so a second run through to get a different ending shouldn't be anywhere near as painful. And while that's true, I also bear in mind that the game which created New Game Plus, Chrono Trigger, is also quite short for an RPG, at around 16 hours or so for a full story playthrough. That encourages replayability, to find the different endings. Other games which boast about their replayability are also sure to fix, such as Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Rising, and Bayonetta. I still need to play that. Rather than different endings, these action games encourage replayability through unlocking enhanced difficulty options, often many of them sequentially. The infamous Dante Must Die mode can only be unlocked after at least 2 or 3 full playthroughs of Devil May Cry, and by then the player will have mastered the combat and be able to hold their own, allowing the game to throw everything it has at them. So while a full story play of these games can be under 10 hours or so, it's likely that the player will continue to engage with the game and get around 60 or 70 hours before they're finished with it. But for a game which has a main story campaign of around 60 or 70 hours to begin with, I'm not so sure replayability is on the menu, at least not in the immediate aftermath of its completion. I often belittle Metal Gear Solid 5 for its length, being as long as all of the other Metal Gear Solid games put together, yet having less story than any single one of them. I played it for over 70 hours according to Steam, and in that time I did 1 full playthrough of its story and several side missions before I set the game aside and I never came back to it. That was an overwhelmingly negative experience for me, the biggest letdown of the previous decade of games. In contrast, Elden Ring is among my top experiences in gaming for a long time, and I'm including 2017, which saw me play Yakuza 0, Nier Automata, and Persona 5. 3 games which left my jaw on the floor every time I picked them up. No, for me Elden Ring's quality speaks for itself. It's a fantastic game which deserves all of the credit that it gets, and then some. But I do not think I will be replaying it, not anytime soon. It's stuffed to the brim with content, much of which I don't think I've even seen yet. And while it tantalizes me with yet unseen characters and events, I believe those can remain hidden for a few years longer, before I eventually clear a few months to play through the game again.